Yeah, I think the only thing we would have to say is that, yeah, like as missionaries, like we're still young kids, and we we decided to come out on missions here to Korea, and we don't receive money, we don't receive something to put on a nice resume, and we don't hire our chances of getting a job or anything. We don't really have any like outward motivations kind of for coming out on missions, but yeah, like the main reason we all come out, decide to pay ourselves and come out on missions and sacrifice 2 years of our lives is kind of just to like help honest truth seekers learn about their Heavenly Father and learn how to come to know Him, learn how to become closer to God if that's what they want. And so like, yeah, we're here, we're sharing our happy message, a simple message. God does exist, He loves us, He's our Father in heaven, and that He wants to speak to us through prophets. And especially in our day, He's called a prophet named Joseph Smith and restored His gospel and church through him. And we have a living prophet today who helps us speak to God. So, yeah, that's mainly why we came out to create a. We're not here to like increase our church membership and like make more Mormons. No, like our purpose here is to help other people make their lives better by growing closer to God. Because we know that as we grow closer to God, we can become happier. And that's what it's all about.
So the main purpose or the final purpose is to be happy. That's actually the one question I had about why do we believe in God? Why did God create human beings and so on? Mm-hmm. Okay.
We actually have a scripture of that. It's it was something that was given to Joseph Smith. It's God was talking, and He explained His purpose. So it states it really distinctly. I'll just read it, just because.
Summarizes very simply, kind of like God's, what His motive is, and like what He wants, kind of.
It says, 보라, 사람에게 불멸과 영생을 가져다 주는 것, 이것이 나의 일이요 나의 영광이니라. This is God speaking.
What did you say the last one? 영광이니라.
영광이니라. God is saying that His whole purpose in creating all of us and creating the earth is to bring about our eternal progression. So our becoming the best that we could be.
Let me ask you some questions. I'm not trying to play the words, but why does He want us to have an eternal life in a good place?
Because He knows that if we have eternal life in a good place, like we're going to be happy.
Okay, by looking at us being happy, what does He want?
So you're asking like what intrinsic joy God gets out of our happiness?
Yeah, or like the ultimate purpose, like He's happy, okay? I mean, by looking at us being happy,
are you asking
happy,
like
okay?
kind of like what He gets out of it?
Yeah, or what's the purpose of that? I mean, once again, I'm not trying to play this simply because you know, when we talk about morality or like about religion, some people ask me, "What's your purpose without God?" I mean, why do you try to make money? Because then I can buy a good house or good cars and so on. Why do you want to buy a good house and good cars? Well, then I can live comfortably, and I can go to places wherever I want. Why do you want to live comfortably? Well, then, you know, because I want to live comfortably, because I want to be happy. Why do you want to be happy? It's like playing words, but then you get the idea. What's the goal? Money, I'm working, I'm trying to make money, but money is not the final goal. It's just it's just
means to an
end,
right?
to get whatever I want at the end, right? So the question is, what's the final goal? I say, I want to be happy. why do you want to be happy?
Why do we want to be happy?
No. I mean,
Or-
people ask me, why do you want to be happy? Then I say, yeah, that's a good question. Let's say, for some reason, let's say not 100% I'm happy, but let's say I got the goal. Let's say I made enough money and I become happy. Let's say, then at the end, then what? I reached the goal. Let's say, then what's the life? It's like that. So finally, I see. That's a good question. Well, I live because I was born. Since I, since like I couldn't find the reason why I want to be happy or something like that. So once again, I'm not trying to play with words, but what's the purpose of God? Like, He wants to make us happy. Okay, that's fine.
And you're asking what's God's purpose behind that?
Yeah.
So I think the best way to explain this, but you have a dad, right?
Yeah.
Parents. So we think kind of about like when we have kids. Like we have kids. Kids, they cost a lot of money. They have temper tantrums. They get into trouble. They like nag us and stuff. But for some reason, parents, they'll go through all of this stuff for their children, and they don't really get anything out of it. And in fact, they have to give up a lot. They have to sacrifice a lot for their kids.
Time, money,
All that
everything,
stuff. But if you ask a lot of parents, you ask them like, your kid's happy, like your kid is happy, like was it worth all the sacrifice? And they say yes. And it's kind of weird because like it doesn't seem like they got anything out of it, but for some reason, because their kid is happy, like they're happy. And that's the best way I can explain it.
So let's say God sees us and then we are all happy after whatever the disaster, and let's say we all go to, some of them go to hell, some of them go to heavens and so on. So people are happy, some people are unhappy, and God sees us. That's all. So God is happy because we are happy. So that's the end of the story. Everyone is happy. It's like a fairy tale story. It's like that. So once again, God's ultimate goal or purpose is to make us happy so that He can be happy by looking at us. So that's it.
So God, I think if we start to kind of try to understand God a little bit more, we'll learn that God has perfect characteristics. These perfect characteristics of love and humility and meekness. And I don't really think God does things like for Himself. I think because God perfectly loves people, His purpose and His goals, everything He does is centered around other people.
Then if that's the case, without creating human beings or without looking at human beings being happy, He can be happy by Himself, right? Because He's perfectly good and happy being, existence. So He doesn't have to create us to be happy. But you said...
I think an analogy that works for this, where you say we work to get money, but we don't work to get money. We work to get money to spend on things we want. So God, if He didn't have us, that's His purpose, His work. If without that, He would just be making money with nothing to spend it on. It doesn't, like, sure, you collect lots of money, and like, it's just sort of hollow. So us is what makes God's work meaningful. Our happiness is like the ultimate rewards of God's work.
But He said He's so perfect, so He doesn't... that means He doesn't need us to be happy or to be perfect or anything like that, right? I mean, we are here, but what I'm saying is, because of His nature, He doesn't need us to be happy. He can be happy by Himself. Isn't that so? Does He need us to be happy?
So what I meant by God is perfect, I mean, his attributes are perfect.
Mhm.
He's not selfish at all.
Okay.
He focuses on others.
For now,
He
let's say.
loves others, right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so
What I'm saying is he needs somebody to be loved, or to feel happy. Is that what you're
So-
saying, or?
it's kind of like, let's say you have a really big, delicious cake. And you're like really happy because you have this delicious cake. And, like, I'm friends with Elder Anderson. He's my friend. Like, I like Elder Anderson. And I want him to be happy too. So I'm like, hey, like, eat some of this cake. I want to share this cake. So it's kind of like God, he has like this eternal life, this exaltation, this life for a God. And it's super good. And because he loves us, he wants to share it with other people. Because like, usually when you have something good, you want to share it with others. And so it's not that if God doesn't share it, then like, I think it's more like he wants to share it with us because for him to share it with more people and have more people also become happy would make him even more happy.
So he was not happy?
No, I'm not
Before
saying
us?
I'm not saying he wasn't happy. I'm saying
I mean, he wasn't happy enough. You said by sharing his, things, he's happier.
so.
I don't
I'm
think
not
we
trying to
really
play
the
words, but
understand.
Yeah, we don't. That's
No, I'm saying. I mean, I said that last time. You say we don't understand because we really don't understand, or because it's a fallacy. But I mean, it's a fallacy, but you don't want to say it's a fallacy. That's why you say we don't understand. Is that
Alright,
what you're
so-
saying, or?
no. So our belief is that if you go to the top level of the celestial kingdom,
Mhm.
you'll have a never-ending supply of joy, and your joy will have no limit. Which
So-
means if you are to live the gospel of Jesus Christ, go to judgment and go to the celestial kingdom, then you will eventually become happy. And the way that you become more happy is by sharing your happiness with others.
So if you are alone, let's say God, he can't be happy. I mean, he can be happier with us. If he's alone, he cannot be happy. I mean, he's happy,
So
but he's
yeah.
more happy.
we don't want to say anything about God being unhappy. We don't know anything about that.
That's what I'm saying. You really don't know, or it's essentially a contradiction. But I mean, according to your, let's say, doctrine, it's a contradiction. That's why you say, oh, we don't know. He's above us. We can't really comprehend his logic. So that's why you say we don't know, or it's a contradiction. We don't know, but we just accept that simply because he is God. But at least God knows. Let's say, suppose God is there, then he knows your mind, so he can read your mind. Even if you say, oh, we don't know, he knows that you think about contradiction. I'm just saying, if it is contradiction, you say it, contradiction. And then, but yet we accept God.
I don't
God's
see
mind.
it as a contradiction.
Yeah,
So go ahead and explain to me. Explain
I don't
why
even
it's-
see what you think is the contradiction.
Yeah, I don't really understand.
Oh, really?
What you're, I don't.
Maybe-
What part is contradictory?
Right. Maybe my question is meaningless, maybe, or I asked you, but maybe that question has nothing to do with belief, or I don't think this is the case. You guys don't understand my question, maybe, because I didn't put the question in proper way, or as I said first, maybe my question has no meaning. Maybe it doesn't make sense anything. But let me put it this way. I mean, the same words I will ask. You said God is happier if He is with us together. If we are happy and He is happier. You said that, right? And once again, I'm not trying to play with the word, but that's what I heard. I mean, if you want to change your word, that's fine, but that's what I heard. That means, my assumption is that He was not happy enough. He was happy, but by making us happy, He can be happier. That means He is limited. He needs us to be happier. That's what I understand. So, is he, if he's alone, he's not 1% happy? Whatever 1% means. Anyway, he's not happy enough. That's why he created us, so that he can be happier, or he can make us happy. And so did I make myself clear? Or
I think, yeah, that
my
God,
question, yeah.
without us,
Mhm.
however happy he may have been, he knew that through us it was a way to increase his happiness.
So that means he's not happy enough.
It was not saying he wasn't happy.
So he doesn't need us. I mean, not that he created us. I mean,
Is your
let's say-
point to ask us, does God need us to exist?
Right. I don't know. Not. I mean, even if he didn't create the human beings, if God is there, God is there. What I mean, what's the purpose for him to create human beings?
And so, like,
Is that
the
because-
legitimate answer is by making us,
Mm-hmm.
he can become even more happy, on top of the happiness he already has.
Then that implies that he was not
Well,
happy enough.
No, let's not infer anything. We're not
He
saying...
can be happier, you said, right?
We think he can always be happier. The more of us that he helps make happy, the happier he becomes.
So let me put it this way: I have $1 million. If somebody gives me another $1 million, I have $2 million, so I can have more money. Now, if God did not create human beings, He is happy. But because He created human beings, He is happier. So he can get more money. I mean, just like me, I can get more money, right? So we can add more money so that I can own more money. Now he is happy. By creating human beings, he is happier. By doing something else, he can be happier, and so on. That's what you're saying. That's what I understand. Is it not so?
Yeah, that's what
So
we're saying.
that implies he was, without creating human beings, he was not happy
So
enough.
I think one thing we kind of have a misunderstanding
Mhm.
is that you are assuming that God has a limit.
What you're saying implies God has limit.
No. Like
He can be happier. That
so
means
when you say like God wasn't happy enough, is implying that God has like a standard and he has to be at least this happy, or he's not happy enough.
I mean, okay, let me put it this different way. That's not what I meant. Maybe I said so. Let's say I change the words. God is happy. By creating human beings, he's happier. That means he was not happy here. He was lack of this much happiness. That's what I meant by he was not happy enough.
So
Did I make myself
in English,
clear?
in
Yeah.
English, when you say not happy enough, it has a connotation. And so
Because he can add more happiness. That's what I said.
yeah, but in English, when you speak in English and you say in English, when you say not happy, like he wasn't happy enough, it implies that there's a bujok.
Okay.
But there is no
okay, I understand.
bujok.
Okay, let me put it, then I understand. Okay, my mistake.
Mhm.
What I meant is, he is happy, but he was lack of happiness more, a little bit.
See, the word lack
Yeah,
means bujok.
implies,
But
but
there's no bujok.
but then you can't say he is happier now. That means he has limited amount of happiness. Just like I have $1 million.
Yeah, like so, kind of like, let's say you're on Hawaii. You're on a nice resort island with a really nice beach, really good
Right
food. You're happy.
Okay.
If I was there, I'd be happy.
Yeah.
Like, I am definitely happy, and I'm fine with
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
But if I was there and I also had all of my family and friends,
Mhm.
I'd say I'd be even more happy.
Mhm.
If I'm there alone, I'm still happy.
Mhm.
But I would say I'd be more happy if I had all my friends and family. So if I had my family and friends, I'd be really happy. And if I had even more family and friends, I'd probably enjoy it even more. But it doesn't mean that if I'm there alone, I'm unhappy.
No, I don't mean you're
Does that
unhappy.
make sense?
No,
So
I don't
it's
mean
kind of
you're-
like, yeah, it's kind of like God is on an island and he's happy. He's good, he's set. But the more people that come to the island and he can spend time with and like live with, the better it is. The more the merrier, almost. Do you know that phrase?
No. What did you
So
say?
it means the more people, the better.
Yeah.
So not saying with less people it's bad, but with more people it's better.
Well, the way I understand it is that if you can be happier, that means you don't have a full happiness, because you can add some more. It's like I have just $1 million.
All right.
I can add some more money.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I understand. But that's not what you're saying. He's 1% happy. So even if we add something, that doesn't mean anything, because that something is in there.
So, all right, I think kind of understand.
Am I
a little
playing
bit
with
more.
words, or
So,
I'm not sure if I am doing that
so
or not.
basically, before we exercise faith in God whatsoever, there are a few things that we need to learn, and one of them is learning about the characteristics of God. So, one thing with God is that when we say He's perfect, maybe we should explain kind of a little bit more of what it means to be perfect. And so, when we're talking about God being perfect, it means His personal development, Him as a person, He's done. He's perfect. His characteristics, His personality, personally, He can't be a better person because He's a perfect person.
He can't progress anymore.
Personally?
There is nothing to progress.
But us, for example, we're imperfect, right? Well, there's a lot of things that we can get better at, right?
Yeah.
And so, but God's different. God, He's already the best at everything. Does that make sense?
So even happiness, He is all happy.
Well,
you can't add some more happiness.
Basically, He doesn't progress personally. He doesn't learn new things. He doesn't get better at things. He's maxed out. And so when it comes to personal development, He has max happiness. But God keeps becoming even more happy. But He doesn't become more happy because He's personally getting better. He becomes more happy when He helps other people, like His creations, us, His spirit children. When He helps us become like Him, that's how He becomes happy. More happy. Does that make sense?
So without human beings, He can't be happier.
So to compare it to your money analogy, like if we have $1 million and then we get 2 million, that's more, that's better. God, it's not a matter of having a set amount of money. He has all the money that could possibly exist, which we cannot imagine.
So if somebody gives Him money, that is not, it's not like He has plus something. It's nothing, literally nothing. It doesn't mean any addition, right?
The understanding we have to get is that God has all of the money, not an infinitely large amount, but all of it, which we can't understand because money doesn't work that way. But God, it's not a perfect analogy just because money doesn't work like that, but God has all the money, period. But let's say we have a fixed amount. We are only so far progressed. So it's not that God gets more money when we progress, but He likes it when we get more money, when we get more happiness, when we get more joy. So when we get more money and get closer to God's infinite perfect amount, He finds that is where His extra joy comes from. I think you're saying that because God enjoys our progression, that means that He was unhappy before, or that's not the case. He had all.
Does that kind of make sense though? So let's say God's bank account is filled max. So you can't give Him more money because He already has it all. So the next thing to do is help us get more money because we don't have all the money. Does that make sense?
About happiness, I'm not sure. Can you say He is happier? Let me think about that anyway.
So
if I hear the word happier or more, that means there's always a space. There's always a space to fill in some more.
Yeah. And so taking it out of the analogy, what we're saying is God, He is max happiness when it comes to His own personal development. God is perfect and has no room to progress. So he himself doesn't personally get any better because he's already the best. And so he's trying to make other people the best as well. So like when it comes to his own personal development, he's already at max happiness. That's not how he gets more happiness, by making himself better, because he's already done it all.
So in order for him to be happier, he has to create some creatures like us. Otherwise, he can't be happier.
The problem is that we're trying to express a concept that here on earth among us, we don't have. So we use the word happier because that is the language we have to express it. But this concept of having the total amount of happiness you could have and then getting more, the concept doesn't really have a language.
So that's what I'm saying. I mean, you can say, oh, it's a contradiction or it's a fallacy according to our logic, because we can't explain, we don't have the word to explain whatever the situation. So according to our language, it doesn't make sense. But we accept that.
Like, it makes perfect sense to me.
It makes sense to you, but you can't explain it to me because there is no word to describe that. Is that what you're saying? Or there is no, let's say, logic to explain that fully. We all have to get analogy.
Like, he understands it and I understand it.
But I can't understand.
No, you can understand it, but I think like...
I reject understand?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I think just like us describing this, it's hard to make you understand it until you come to understand it for yourself. Does that make sense? As in, like, we can keep giving you analogies and maybe eventually you'll get it, but the best way we learn about the gospel isn't by merely talking about it. The best way that we can come to know knowledge and truth is by acting upon it, by chokumshik, like studying and praying, exercising faith, and keeping God's commandments. Doing this over time
then
is
you
how
can
we
understand
really...
this concept?
Well,
by following what
by
his
doing
command?
this, we come to learn
learn
about spiritual things.
Then you can come up with the understanding of this concept, like the concept we're talking about?
Yeah, kind of like the concept that we're talking about goes into it. But I'm saying, in general, when it comes to spiritual things, when it comes to the gospel, when it comes to all this religious spiritual things, the best, like the way that we actually come to learn isn't by us telling you and you just accepting it. The way that you will learn is by hearing our message. Like, you have to hear it, you have to like hear what we have to say. And then you have to personally study it, think about it, pray about it, exercise faith. And as you do it continually and keep God's commandments, you can learn for yourself. Like, what you can learn more for yourself because
why
you will
going
learn
through
through
all
the
those
Spirit.
Complicated way? Why not just God shows us, then we decide. As I mentioned before, like a free will.
Yeah.
There has to be.
So what we're talking about is a deeper learning and understanding, where I could, let's say math, I could read a proof written by some great mathematician and then use it, but that doesn't mean that I could come up with it on my own. Like, I didn't reach the understanding of creating this proof all on my own, but that it was sort of given to me. And so God knows the best way for us to progress is to be able to create these great concepts, these great proofs for ourselves. And so he, instead of just sort of giving us this great proof that sure, maybe we could use a little bit, but he knows it would mean more to us and be more useful to us if we could reach the understanding of coming up with it ourselves.
But what you're implying is God's way is the best because He knows everything. He said He gives us command. That's the best. What you're saying is. But I'm saying I don't understand. I don't think that's the best way. So explain to me.
Okay, so
that's what I'm saying.
I'll
I understand why.